Today I'm reading, my name is Kevin McNally, and today I'm reading Daisy Had Mayzie by Dr. Seuss. It's hard to believe such a thing could be true, and I hope such a thing never happens to you. But it happened, they say, to poor Mayzie McGrew, and it happened like this, in room 8. She was sitting one day at her desk in her school, in her usual way, when she felt a small twitch on top of her head. So Mayzie looked up, and she almost dropped dead. Something peculiar was going on there. A daisy was sprouting right up out of her hair. Behind her was sitting young Herman Butch Strudel. This looks like a daisy up here on her noodle. It doesn't make sense. Why couldn't it be so? A noodle's no place for a daisy to grow. Then up spoke another boy, Einstein Van Tass, the brightest young man in the whole of the class. It's a very odd place to be sprouting a daisy, but nevertheless, one is growing on Mayzie. Hey, look it, cried Butch, right here in this room. Daisy had Mayzie. She's bursting in bloom. Miss Sneetcher, the teacher, came rushing up quick. Such nonsense. Some child here is playing a trick. Which one of you boys stuck that thing in her hair? You know that a daisy could never grow there. But teacher, said Butch, I saw the thing rise right out of her head with my very own eyes. Just give it a yank if you think I tell lies. But Miss Sneetcher had heard quite enough of this talk. Mayzie, hold still. Let me get at that stalk. Ouch, hollered Mayzie. Quit yanking, Butch said. You're giving her pains. I'll bet those roots go all the way down to her brains. The kids in the class started shouting like crazy. Daisy had Mayzie. Children, be quiet. Good grief and alas. Miss Sneetcher was shocked by the noise in her class. I taught in this room 20 years, maybe more, but I've never seen anything like this before. I'll have to report it. You'll just have to come to the principal's office and show Mr. Grum. Now the principal, a good Gregory Grum, was a very nice, wise man and just as smart as they come. He knew more than anyone else in this nation about long division and multiplication. He knew all the answers, why oceans are deep, why skies are so high, and why mountains are steep. He should have the answer to this thing on Mayzie. My word, he declared, it's a genuine daisy. I've seen them quite often in fields growing wild, but never before on the head of a child. Now what in the world ever made this thing sprout? I have no idea, but I'm going to find out. It says, daisies grow on land. They grow between rocks. They grow also in sand. It mentions right here they can grow in a pot. But mention the head of a girl, it does not. Daisies, it says, sometimes grow in Alaska. Also Missouri, Rhode Island, Nebraska. They grow in Japan, in Spain, and Peru. In India, France, and Idaho, too. They grow in South Boston and also in Rome. But why should they grow on this little girl's dome? Say, look it, said Mayzie. It's wilting, it's drooping. How wonderful, Mayzie. It will soon be dead, and you'll be rid of that daisy. In just a few minutes our troubles will pass, declared Mr. Grum. Take her back to class. And then the principal saw the most terrible sight. The daisy was dying, and that was all right. But that daisy was part of poor Mayzie McGrew, and Mayzie was starting to wilt away too. "Teacher," said Grum, "do you know what I think? They're both going to die. Hurry, bring them a drink." "That daisy, that girl's the worst problem in town. You take her away and you make her lie down. You lock her up tight in that room down the hall. There are quite a few numbers that I've got to call. Get Maizie's parents on the end of the line. I need them here quickly while there's still time." On the phone, Maizie's mom asked, "What's all the fuss?" "Thank goodness to Betsy. I'll catch the next bus." A call to the shoe store reached Mr. McGrew. He answered while holding a customer's shoe. "Oh yes, this is, oh no, I really must go." "A doctor should see her," the principal said. "An expert on plants, like the one on her head." So he called Dr. Eisenbart, who said, "What a trick. My stethoscope's packed. I'll be there in a tick." "Wait, Doc," said his patient. "I'll come along too. My brother's a vet, and he knows this McGrew." When he heard, Finch the florist grabbed for his shears. "I'll be there as soon as my truck can shift gears." Meanwhile, poor Mayzie lay down on the couch. The daisy slumped down on its leaves in a slouch. But the window was open because it was warm, and the sweet-smelling daisy attracted a swarm of bees. Bees, bees. The faster she ran, the faster they flew. So Mayzie kept running. What else could she do? She attempted to hide behind Officer Thatcher, who cupped out his hat like a bumblebee catcher. The bees took his hat. Thatcher said, "I'm no fool," and ran after Mayzie back to the school. Principal Grum didn't know what to do. "It's worse," cried Miss Sneetcher, "much worse than we feared. The daisy and Mayzie have both disappeared." Behind her came charging Mr. McGrew, chased by the customer chasing his shoe. Finch the florist, Dr. Eisenbart too, Dr. Eisenbart's patient, and Mrs. McGrew. Then through the window with Officer Thatcher, who slammed the pane shut so the bees couldn't catch her. Jumped Mayzie McGrew to the floor on a splatter, with the daisy still there, except taller and fatter. "My poor little daughter, the daisy, it's true. I'm going to faint," cried Mrs. McGrew. "Tut, tut," said the florist. "There's no need for tears, just because there's a daisy between her two ears. I'll snip it right off with my sharp pruning shears. She's my patient, don't touch her. You must stand apart." "We have to have room," said Dr. Eisenbart. "I think that Mayzie in her plant could help me get a research grant." Then the door opened wide and the mayor stepped inside. At meetings and greetings there was none to compare. He was the best at long speeches, chock full of hot air. "I promise my friends that if I'm reelected, this daisy on Mayzie will be disconnected. The law of our fathers is simple and sound. Daisies belong and should stay in the ground. The rest are illegal. We'll bar them from town." From the back came a voice, sometimes loud, sometimes slick, of a wheeler and dealer who knew every trick. "I'm Finagle the agent. You've heard of me, I'm sure. I represent young What's-His-Name and others now on tour. But Mayzie, you're so special. Please let me shake your hand. Your talent is a wondrous thing, unique in all the land. Daisy had Mayzie spelled out in bright light. Will draw kids in the day and parents at night. Daisy had Mayzie. You've got quite an act. Just stick with me, kid, and sign this contract. Your flower needs to sign too. Her mother said, Mayzie, don't be a fool. The principal begged her not to leave school. But Mayzie didn't stop to blink. She signed her name in think-proof ink. And Daisy signed too. Daisy had fever, was gripping the nation. It had quickly become a worldwide sensation. Daisy had burgers, and Daisy had drinks. Daisy had stockings, and Daisy had sinks. Daisy had buttons, and Daisy had bows. Mayzie was famous, the star of her shows. Fame knocked on Mayzie's door. Now she had it all and more. Piles of money stacked in tens. But what is money without friends? A dream had led her far astray. That was the price she had to pay. Mayzie McGrew ran night and day. Nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. Because she was sure that everyone must have written her off in total disgust. Over and over in her head, these are the words that poor Mayzie said. I can never go home. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me. Nobody loved her. Poor Mayzie McGrew. It's hard to believe such a thing could be true. And maybe that's why, then this Daisy above, when Mayzie below began talking of love. Well, you know about daisies, when love is in doubt. The job of a daisy is try and find out. They love her not. They love her not. Don't worry, Mayzie. They love you. They love me. Well, that is how it all happened, the thing that went away. And Mayzie McGrew is quite happy today. Back at her studies and doing just great in all of her subjects in room number 8. And concerning that daisy, you know that it never grew out of the top of her head again, ever. Well, it practically never popped up there again, excepting occasionally just now and then. Ting! The end. Daisy had Mayzie. And I get a second book called A Pigtail, and it's written by Olivia Newton-John and Brian Seth Hurst, illustrated by Sal Murdoka, or Big Sal anyway. A Pigtail. Now here's a strange pigtail that's written in rhyme of Ziggy, Pop, Iggy, and Once Upon a Time. Now some pigs like garbage, most pigs like slop, but no other pig was like Ziggy's Pop. He saved and collected most any old thing, from biscuits to baskets to miles of old string. From cans to flat tires to old paper bags to sofas and soup spoons to old clothes and rags. From rubber bands, golf balls, horns from old Jeeps to whatchamacallits and bleepity bleeps. The house was a mess. It was filled to the top. But Iggy kept saving. He just couldn't stop. The piglets at school would all giggle and grump and tell little Ziggy he lived in a dump. One day from the barn, Ziggy heard such a clatter. He banged on the door shouting, "Pop, what's the matter?" But Iggy told Ziggy, "Go play and have fun. Don't worry, I'll call you when my work is done." His daddy kept hammering, bang, batter, zip, zang, zing. He was working so hard on the most special thing. Ziggy told all his friends of his father's surprise, to come to their parents to await at sunrise. As night turned to dawn, the noises just stopped, and Ziggy stepped forward to welcome his pop. The door opened wide and everyone stared, but no one could speak, not a single pig dared. Then what they all saw made them cheer, dance, and sing. An amazing invention, a most beautiful thing. A big ball of color, of canvas and string, of tires and tubers and every old thing. It gleamed and it glittered, as round as a moon. Iggy's brilliant creation, a wondrous balloon. Then Iggy took Ziggy up high for a ride, and Ziggy was proud to be by his side. They circled the globe in their beautiful ball. His pop was a hero to Ziggy and all. Now here is the reason for telling this tale. Let's save the world's treasures from tin can to whale. Protect our dear earth, don't throw it away. You too could make magic from garbage someday. The end.
Hi everybody, I'm Debbie Lincoln, and I'm here to read you a couple of stories about little girls who learn something to make their lives happier. The first one is called CindaYella and the fairy Wordmother. She didn't have a fairy godmother, she had a fairy Wordmother. It's by Becky Cummings and Tony Crossman. Let's find out about Cindy. The day had just begun, but Cindy was already in her timeout tower. She had yelled at her dad for cooking oatmeal. She had yelled at the dog for licking her nose. Stop! She had even yelled at her socks for being inside out. From her window, she watched her brother Calvin playing at the bus stop. Then came a knock at the door. "Cindy, are you ready to try again?" Mom asked. "Yes, I'm sorry, Mom." Cindy pulled off her princess crown, put on her tennis shoes, and grabbed her backpack. Cindy bolted through the front door. "I'm here," she announced. The family dog hid behind a bush. Some kids ran to their backyards. Calvin rolled his eyes. "Oh, great. Here comes CindaYella," he said. Cindy hated that name. She tried to remain cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am calm. Oh, great. When the bus pulled up, her brother held out his arm and laughed. "After you, Princess CindaYella." "Stop it. Leave me alone," Cindy screamed. The bus driver shook his head. Cindy had calmed down by lunch. Her classmate, Jill, was passing out envelopes. She skipped past Cindy. "What are those?" asked Cindy. Jill looked down. "Invitations," she gently replied. Before she could help herself, Cindy boomed, "Why didn't I get one?" "Cindy, you yell too much. Nobody wants CindaYella at their party," Jill said. Cindy's heart sank into her stomach. Now the kids at school were saying it too. When Jill saw her sadness, she handed her a card. I guess you could come, but please just don't yell. Later that night, Cindy felt mad at herself. She retreated to her timeout tower so she could think about what to do. I don't want to be called CindaYella anymore. I wish I'd used my kind, calm voice more, but it's just so hard, she sighed. All the yelling had tuckered her out. She crawled into bed and fell asleep early. A shimmering light woke her up in the middle of the night. A magical figure stood by her window. Her eyes were as warm as golden sunlight, and her smile filled the room. "Who are you?" Cindy asked. "I am the fairy Wordmother, and I am here to help you," she replied. "First, you can forgive." Cindy thought she must be dreaming. "But I'm the one yelling. Who do I forgive?" she asked. "You forgive yourself, because it's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn. You are very special and loved, no matter what choices you make." The fairy Wordmother pointed her wand toward Cindy's heart. A warm feeling flooded her body with peace. "Now, let's clear your mind." The fairy Wordmother swirled her wand around Cindy's head. Cindy closed her eyes and saw herself smiling and speaking kindly. She knew she was a loving person. Finally, remember that words are a gift with the power to help or hurt. We must use them with great care. Tomorrow, when you wake, you will see the power of your words. She aimed her wand at Cindy's lips. "May your words be used to bless yourself and others." Cindy felt her mouth tingle all the way to her throat. She closed her eyes and fell asleep. The next day, Cindy was so excited for Jill's party. She jumped up and scooted to get breakfast. Dad was making oatmeal again. Yuck! She was about to let him have it, but as she opened her mouth, it began to tingle. The fairy Wordmother. Hadn't that just been a silly dream? Cindy decided to give Dad a sweet compliment and said, "Thanks for making me a healthy breakfast, Dad." A cloud of sparkles appeared around him. "Thanks, Cindy. That is so nice of you to say." Cindy wondered if her words really had this much power. She found her dog sleeping in his bed. "You are so cute. I love you." A sparkle storm swirled around the dog, who leapt into the air and rolled over with joy. Next, Cindy found a half-dead plant. "Your flowers are beautiful. Thank you for giving me air to breathe." Bam! Sparkles rained down on the wilted buds and they perked up. "Wow, this really works," she thought. It was almost party time, and Cindy couldn't wait to try out her magical words on her friends. As Cindy was brushing her teeth, Calvin came in. "CindaYella," he teased. The tingle in Cindy's mouth reminded her to stay calm. "Are you going to that party you really weren't invited to?" Calvin smirked. Cindy couldn't help herself. "Stop! You are the worst brother ever!" Poof! A cloud of brown dust appeared. Cindy looked down to see a pile of mud on the floor. "Oh no, what have I done?" Cindy touched her lips. Calvin looked so confused. "Wait till Mom and Dad see that." Cindy started to cry. "I promise I will not yell anymore. You just hurt my heart. And I'm sorry I said that." Her brother saw that his words had hurt her. It's okay. I'm sorry I picked on you." Cindy knew her parents wouldn't let her go to the party if they saw what a mess she'd made. She spent the next hour scooping and scrubbing. Calvin grabbed a mop and helped. Cindy thought about how mean words were like mud. Yucky, hard to clean up, and could leave a stain on someone's heart. When everything was finally clean, it was time to go to the party. She needed to stay calm. She couldn't risk mucking anything else up. Cindy arrived at the party and let the kind words pour out. "Dancing is the best. Thank you for the delicious food. I'm happy to be here." The room was filled with sparkles. Cindy could feel how her words brought everyone joy, which filled her with joy too. Jill came over and said, "I'm not sure what happened to you, but I'm happy you came. I'm sorry I yelled at you, CindaYella." Cindy laughed. "It's okay, I yell a lot, but from now on, just call me Cindy." The next day, Cindy wasn't creating sparkles or mud piles anymore, but she knew her words still had the same magic. Even if Dad made oatmeal for the third day in a row, she'd have nothing but good things to say. The end. And now here's a story about another girl who learned something else. This book is called The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. It's by Mark Pett and Gary Rubenstein and illustrated by Mark Pett. The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. For Beatrice Bottomwell, Friday began like any other day. She matched her socks, and of course, she put her shoes on their proper feet. She remembered to feed her hamster, Humbert, his favorite food, broccoli. And when she made a sandwich for her brother Carl's lunch, she used exactly the same amount of peanut butter as jelly. When she stepped outside to greet her fans, she didn't forget to say, "Good morning," and "Thank you." They asked if she had made her bed. She had. They asked if she forgot to do her math homework. Nope. "What about tonight's talent show?" they asked. "I'm ready," said Beatrice with a smile. After all, her juggling act had won 3 years in a row. Most people in town didn't even know Beatrice's name. They just called her the girl who never makes mistakes, because for as long as anyone could remember, she never did. Unlike Beatrice, Carl made lots of mistakes. He ate his crayons and drew with his green beans. He danced with his hands and played the piano with his feet. Carl loved to make mistakes. At school, Beatrice was on the cooking team with her 2 best friends, Millie and Sarah. To make their giant rhubarb muffins, they needed 4 eggs. Beatrice went to the refrigerator and carefully chose the biggest, eggiest eggs she could find. But on the way back, her legs slipped out from under her. The eggs went flying. Beatrice was about to make her first mistake. But she didn't. She caught one with her foot, she caught 2 with her hands, and 1 in her mouth. That was close, thought Beatrice. "Sorry, Beatrice, I dropped a piece of rhubarb." "Oh, that's it, Ellie," she said, because her mouth was full of egg. For the rest of the school day, Beatrice could not stop thinking about her almost mistake. On her way home from school, Beatrice watched Millie and Sarah ice skating in the park. "Come join us," said Millie. "It's fun," said Sarah. Beatrice watched them slip and slide on the frozen pond. Millie and Sarah laughed as they wobbled on the ice. "No thanks," said Beatrice. At supper, Beatrice barely touched her food. "Is everything all right, kiddo?" asked her father. "I'm worried I'll mess up tonight," said Beatrice, "and everyone will be watching." "Worry? You don't make mistakes," her father said with a smile. Beatrice tried to smile too. After supper, Beatrice got ready for the talent show. First, she woke Humbert from his nap. Next, she got the salt shaker from the kitchen table. Finally, she filled a balloon with water. The school auditorium was packed. Beatrice felt her stomach jumping around inside her. Beatrice waited for her juggling music to begin. "That's her! That's the girl who never makes mistakes," said a woman. "Oh, we know she'll be perfect," said a man. When the music started, she tossed Humbert into the air. Next, she added the salt shaker. And finally, the water balloon. Beatrice didn't miss a beat. The crowd clapped with delight. But Beatrice noticed something odd about the salt shaker. The specks falling out of it were not white. Achoo! Humbert was so surprised by his sneeze that he grabbed the water balloon with his claws. Kablooey! Humbert, pieces of water, and the pepper rained down on top of Beatrice. For the first time in as long as anyone could remember, Beatrice made a mistake, and it was a big one. The music stopped. Beatrice didn't know what to do. Cry? Run off the stage? The crowd sat stunned. They couldn't believe that the girl who never makes mistakes made a mistake. Beatrice looked at Humbert. He looked back at her. His hamster fur was soaked and speckled with bits of balloon. Beatrice let out a giggle. The giggle grew into a chuckle, and the chuckle became a laugh. The people in the crowd looked at each other and then back at Beatrice. They began to giggle and chuckle, then finally roar with laughter. Beatrice and the audience laughed until they couldn't remember why they were laughing. That night, Beatrice slept better than she ever had. In the morning, no fans greeted Beatrice. When she got dressed, Beatrice, for no reason at all, put a polka dot sock on one foot and a plaid sock on the other. Beatrice and Carl made sandwiches. This time, they put the peanut butter and jelly on the outside. They called it an inside-out PB&J. Lunch was messy and delicious. Later, Beatrice found Millie and Sarah skating in the park. They fell a lot and laughed. Now, people no longer call her the girl who never makes mistakes. They just call her Beatrice. The end. So both these girls learned something, and I hope you have too. It's okay to make mistakes and always try to be kind and nice, because your words can hurt. Hope you enjoyed these stories and have a great day.